Hello, hello, hello. It is a privilege and an honor to be here with you today, leading you in this presentation for the Harbor Lights chapter of the links. In Passing the Rose to Healing from Trauma Using Art. My name is Seida Hood, and we are just going to get into this presentation. Here's what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn the truth about trauma because I know that there are a lot of common misconceptions out there on what trauma actually is. So, trauma is a word that we hear quite often, but how do we actually recognize when we have experienced it? You're going to learn about that today. Why everyone is an artist. I know. This one is hard to believe, but it is true. You are an artist, even if you have never taken an art class. Finally, you're going to learn what happens when trauma and art get married. When we allow our self-expression, aka our forms of art, to exist, we create spaces for healing. Now, I know you've got a couple of questions, so I want to introduce myself. Like I said just a second ago, my name is Seida Hood, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. I help women develop the belief and strategy necessary to make an immediate impact on the world. And I do this through courses, workshops, and presentations, much like this one, events, and through my 90-day group intensive. I own a prominent private practice in Plainfield, Illinois, and I specialize in crisis and trauma. So I believe that every woman is handcrafted to make an immediate impact on the world. And I believe that her purpose is already inside of her. She only needs to unlock it. That's me. That's the voice behind the slides. If you have not already, you are going to want to go ahead and download your workbook and follow along with the presentation. Now, before we jump in, I do want to say that this presentation might contain certain triggers. And because your girl is a therapist, I have to say that this is not a substitute for a relationship with a licensed therapist. This is simply me presenting you with information. Now, before we get started, I want to challenge you to consider. Pause this video if you're watching the replay and consider, what do you believe about trauma? Before I tell you the truth about it, before we look at definitions, what do you actually believe about trauma? What stories have you heard? What is trauma? Like, when you sit back and you think about it, what is it? How can you tell that somebody has experienced trauma? Trauma, according to the NCTSN, and that is the National Child Trauma and Stress Network, you can go to that website. It is a scary, dangerous, or violent event that can happen to anyone. Not all dangerous or scary events are considered traumatic. It's also an event that can be traumatic when we face or witness an immediate threat to ourselves or to a loved one. It's often followed by serious injury or harm, so we naturally feel terror, helplessness, or horror at what we're experiencing and at our inability to stop it or protect ourselves or others from it. Now, I know that that was a mouthful, but if you remember nothing else from today, I want you to remember that the basis of trauma is that you cannot tell someone they've experienced trauma. Trauma must be defined by the person who experienced it. For example, we could have two little girls that both are cousins, and they go to someone's house and they have an experience where they have to hug an older man. One girl could just perceive that as a totally normal interaction, while another girl may perceive it as a traumatic incident because perhaps she was assaulted in the past. So now being forced to hug an older male that potentially looks like her aggressor could be perceived as a traumatic event. Another example of trauma could be a woman that has been going through an IVF cycle for infertility and she has an ectopic pregnancy. This could be extremely traumatic for one woman, while perhaps another woman going through the exact same thing could have already mentally prepared her mind to have experienced potentially an ectopic pregnancy before she gets to a real pregnancy. So we can't define what a traumatic experience is for another person. That's what's important to remember here. Now, we're going to talk about a few types of trauma. There's community and school violence. That is a type of trauma that I'd say we probably are most familiar with, but maybe don't categorize it as such. That could be a school shooting or shooting in the neighborhood, or even witnessing a fight in the cafeteria. We have complex trauma, which could be something like ongoing physical or sexual abuse. We have domestic violence, and this could be traumatic incident by the person that experienced it or even someone that witnessed it. Early childhood trauma. This could be something that has happened to a 2 or 3-year-old witnessing or experiencing this. And I think a lot of times at this age, we don't exactly say that this may have been a traumatic event for a child this young because we think that the children don't remember it, but that's completely false. Children do remember it. And if you're interested, you can check out this book called The Body Keeps Score, because that will tell you more information about how our body reacts and stores traumatic experiences. There could be medical trauma, like witnessing the aftermath of a car wreck and what it does on the human body. So a medical professional that has to provide care to somebody who has a mangled body, or even medical professionals that have been providing care during COVID. That could be a traumatic event. Natural disasters like hurricanes and floods, those are most often categorized as traumatic events. Neglect, physical or sexual abuse, again, most of the times these are categorized as traumatic events as well, and we can pretty much recognize that. And then there's traumatic grief, which is prolonged grief that could have the same impact and cause the same type of symptoms as trauma. The bottom line here with trauma is that it affects people differently, and people have different triggers for their incident. So two people could have been at the same traumatic incident, but have very different triggers depending on what happened to them during that incident. And the triggers could literally be anything from a sound to a smell to a person that looks familiar. And again, going back to the early childhood trauma, we think that babies don't really have, reactions to this, but we have to take note of their behaviors. Their behaviors may come across a little bit differently. So, for example, a child that was talking very clearly and articulate, maybe resorting back to baby talk after experiencing trauma, or even a child that was fully potty trained, reverting back to peeing in the bed and having a lot of accidents. Or you may even want to pay attention to a child that, could be standing in a position where they're perfectly fine, seemingly, and then someone that caused trauma to them enters the room and they all of a sudden pee on themselves. That is an indicator that something is wrong. And I think a lot of times if parents don't know that, they can tend to fly off the handle and get upset with the child. But that's actually something to be investigating and be mindful of. Supporting a trauma survivor. We don't know what to say or do most of the time. And the good news with that is most of the time, it's not necessarily about what you say or what you do, but more so about being present with the person, allowing them to experience whatever they're experiencing. You cannot force somebody to be ready to let go of something that has kept them safe for a long period of time. So, for example, if someone now stays inside of their home and they order groceries in and they do all these different things, they have this process, and inside of their home, they have 16 locks on the door. it's going to be very challenging to get them to let go of even one of those locks on the door, because all 16 locks have kept them safe after the incident. So it's important to be kind and sensitive to what is going on. Kindness and sensitivity are going to be your best friends when you're trying to support somebody that has experienced trauma. Everybody is different and everybody responds differently. These things will take you very far. Don't be too familiar if you have to be kind and sensitive to people that you know as well. Just because you know them doesn't mean anything. Support when you don't know them. You want to be mindful of what you say or do because you don't know the person's triggers. And it can be easy to make a mistake and say or do something that maybe reminds them of their trigger. Be aware of your own reactions and their behaviors, their responses to when you say things or do things, your responses. So you can't really properly support someone who's describing something to you and you're falling apart more than they are. So be mindful of your reactions. And then if you make a mistake and you offend them, just apologize. That's it. So let's say that there was some sort of trigger with cucumbers because when something happened, the person was cutting a cucumber before they did whatever. You offer the person a cucumber, they totally lose it. Get yourself together. Know that it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. There's no way you could have known that was a trigger. You just apologize and you move on. Reset your focus and move on. Supporting people when you do know them. Allow them to share in a safe space. And you want the space to be safe emotionally and physically. They have trusted you with this. They value your trust. So you want to make sure that you are keeping the space safe for them to express themselves. Resist the temptation to minimize their experience. Again, going back to the two cousins, even if they were in the same room at the same time with the same amount of people, you still cannot minimize their experiences because the way that another person experiences trauma is going to be totally different because we come from different walks of life, different backgrounds. So remain judgment free in providing support. Everybody is an artist, honey. And I know there are some people that disagree, but I'm about to tell you why. Art, according to the Oxford Languages Dictionary, is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Another definition, the various branches of creative activity, such as painting, music, literature, and dance. Art invokes emotion. Art gives us language when we have no words. Therefore, everyone is an artist. Everyone has the capacity to create art, even if they never choose to use art to express themselves. Okay? I want you to remember that as we go through these activities. This is the fun part about discussing trauma, giving you the tools to thrive, because I don't want you to just survive trauma. I don't want you to be an onlooker that just survives a thing. I want you to thrive and do well in life, even after this negative experience. So it's important to discuss coping skills first and foremost, because I think that we always think deep breathing when a person mentions coping skills, and coping skills can be deep breathing, but it also goes beyond deep breathing. You use coping strategies daily without even noticing it. I want you to consider how you handle a long day of hard work. What is the thing that you do that helps you when you get home? That helps you, when you're in a long meeting. That's a coping strategy. And coping strategies can be positive or negative, so we have to be mindful of it. A positive coping strategy is one that allows you to get through the incident without having a negative impact on other areas of your life. So, for example, working out, That may help you get through a period of time, and that enhances your body. You're healthy after that. Versus a negative coping strategy is one that allows you to get through the incident, but most likely creates a negative pattern in another area of your life. This could be drinking to handle a long day of work, right? Like you go out and you have several drinks. Now that's a problem. So we want to be mindful to create positive coping strategies. We are not going to be able to deep dive into all of these strategies today, but I just wanted to give you a starting point. These are the strategies that we're going to cover today: artistic roadmap, guided audio exercises, free writing exercise, the inspired prompt, music exercise, and mindfulness slash visualization. So we're going to jump into this artistic roadmap. This tells the story of who you are and the experiences that formed you. So if you pause this video and you take a moment to read through this artistic roadmap, this person values relationships. Relationships are clearly a priority in their life because every single defining moment for them has been centered around another relationship. Now, the loner portion down here that's closer to present day, this could be trauma based. And it could be based on the loss of a relationship. Maybe they broke up with their best friend or something, because yes, friends have breakups too. Or it could be a normal life shift. With an artistic roadmap, the only thing that you can do is have the person to explain it to you. But it's a creative way to get the person talking if they don't want to use words. Here's an example of a visual artistic roadmap in addition to words. So this is their life in pictures that is still telling a story. There's a story that is present in the number of times this girl has moved. I would argue that there's probably some emotion that's attached to every move, because if you notice in the very last portion of the artistic roadmap, 2005, she says, "I'm enjoying my life now." So there's the only defining moments we have are that she moved several times, and then down here that she's enjoying her life after the past 3 years living in the same place. Again, there's a story there that you will want to deep dive into. Now we're going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to take you through a guided audio.
Hi, my name is Seida Hood, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm so happy to see that you've joined me today for this guided journaling session on self-discovery. Let's get started. Self-discovery is simply learning who you are, learning what you like, learning about your character. Self-discovery is important because it guides your future and the future of your relationships. The more insight we have into who we are and what we like or what we don't like or why we do what we do, the more we're able to grow and understand ourselves, and the more successful we are in life. And you define success on your own terms. So let's get started. I want you to start by grabbing your favorite pen and your favorite notebook. Go to your favorite spot where you like to be alone. This could be anywhere in your house or wherever you are right now. It could be a safe, comfortable, cozy place. Or it could be your favorite coffee shop with your headphones in. I want you to start by taking 5 deep breaths in and out. In and out. Becoming more relaxed with each breath in and out. In out. One last time, in and out. I want you to open your notebook, grab your pen, and I want to give you a few moments to answer the question, what would it mean to live life to the fullest extent possible at this point in your life today? If you could live fully, if you weren't so stressed out, but simply experiencing all the moments of life, what would that look like? How would that feel? What would be different in your relationships if you didn't hide behind your fears? Those fears that you're not good enough, that you will never be accepted, that you were just created a little bit differently, so you need to hide it. What would be different if you fully embraced that and you lived life to the fullest extent possible? How can you take one baby step towards living life as your most authentic self today, starting today? So perhaps you've identified some of those things when you answer the first question. What's the smallest bit of things that you can do that will move you in the direction of positive behavior change, that will move you towards living life to the fullest extent so that you enjoy living every day, so that you are fully embracing each moment as it comes and being mindful and present in every moment? What baby step can you put into place? Again, my name is Seida Hood, and I want to thank you for joining me for these quick moments of guided journaling for self-discovery.
Okay, how was that? Consider what came up for you and how you felt. Maybe leave your thoughts in the comment section and we're going to move on. So you're watching this on the replay. I want you to set a timer for 3 minutes and answer the question that you see on the screen. And I want you to write whatever comes up, even if the answer or the thing that comes up is, I don't know what to write. Just write it. Get into the habit of expressing yourself fully with the use of art. And then you're going to come back and push play on this video. Now, inspired prompts. You can use journal prompts to help guide your thoughts and keep them focused. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to just sit down and express yourself or do a free write, and that's okay. You can always look up guided prompts for journaling. You want to consider the impact, the concern of where you are right now, and the meaning. What are you making this situation mean? And I know we're moving through some of these pretty quickly, but it's because I really want you to get a full understanding of all the options that are available to you. Music. Music is one of my favorite forms of art. Music heals the soul. Like any other form of art, it is so powerful. So I want you to take a moment, pause this video, and go through the exercises. Perhaps you make music using instruments. Don't try and filter yourself. Just allow the emotions that come up to exist as you use the instruments. Maybe you make an emotional song list, or maybe you turn on some instrumental music while you journal. During that guided audio, there was instrumental music playing in the background. The next tip that I want to talk about is mindfulness or visualization. I'm going to take you through a quick visualization exercise. So take a moment and get comfortable. I want you to take 3 deep breaths in and consider that you're at a beach. You're walking down the stairs that are outside. As you step off the last step, you step into white sand. It's warm and soft under your feet. Just feel the sensations in your feet on the sand. And you look up, and all you see is more sand in front of you, but you can hear the ocean. So you walk towards the sound of the ocean. As you're walking, you can feel the sun on your skin. Maybe you can feel a light breeze as well. You notice the smell of the salty air. And as you're looking around, you see the ocean peek over a sand dune. You're walking towards the ocean now, and you notice the sand under your feet gets a little bit firmer because it's saturated with seawater. And you get to the shore where the ocean meets the sand, and you see little waves coming up and down, up and down. As the waves come and go, you see some things in the sand like shells, pieces of seaweed, your own footprints. And you notice a little piece of driftwood that's the perfect size for writing in the sand with. You pick up this driftwood and now draw your name into the sand where it's moist. You write out each letter, noticing the sound that it makes as you scratch it through the sand. Good, you think to yourself. And then you step back and you look at your name. As you see your beautiful name has carried you through your whole life, you notice a little wave coming closer. And that's where we're going to stop. How was that? I'm taking you through some of these exercises because I want you to pay attention to what settles you, what makes you feel good as we're working through these exercises. Mindfulness and visualization can be so helpful when you are in a heightened state of emotion and you need to relax. Again, my name is Seida Hood, and I want to thank you so much for allowing me to present here with you today. And I want to give you a recap of what you learned. We talked about the truth about trauma, why everyone is an artist, and what happens when art and trauma get married. I want you to take a moment and share what you learned or what you're taking away in the comment section. For those that are interested, these are the ways that you can connect with me. I design wellness programs on demand. I have a wellness app called Confident Bay with a private community. I'm the host of the Loveish podcast, which is a weekly podcast on mental wellness, relationships, faith, and love. And you can also do therapy with me if you are looking for a therapist. I also host an annual retreat for women called the Pink Emerald Retreat. You're going to get a really quick sneak peek into that in just a second because we are now selling tickets for our 2022 retreat. And then I also have a YouTube channel, and all of these links can be found inside of your workbook. Now, before I show you this video, surprise! You didn't think I was going to finish this presentation without giving you a gift, did you? If you enjoyed the presentation, I want you to grab your free bonus. You're going to get 50% off of this bite-sized workshop replay, the Boss Babes Reset. That's going to help you dive a little bit deeper into self-care and wellness routines and how you can build a customized plan of action for yourself. Again, my name is Seida Hood. I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.